Good evening. It is the Day Trippers. It is the forum. It's a Monday night. It's a match review as opposed to the normal topics this evening. At the end of 107, 108 minutes worth of action, Liverpool 1-0 winners against Wolves. Pretty bad injury there towards the end for Tricio, so hopefully he will be none the worse for that. Didn't look great, but hopefully he gets better soon. So we've got in tonight, we've got Andy Young. How you doing, Andy?
Oh, good, right?
Excellent, good stuff. We've got Jamie. How you doing, Jamie?
All good, mate. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Didn't really have time to sort the lighting out here, so that's why it's the
look great. You look great.
The halo effect.
It looks like lasers.
We've got Gar Breen. How you doing, Gar?
Good, right? How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So look, it's 3 points. I guess we shouldn't grumble. I was saying there just before coming on air that it's kind of hard to enjoy games at the moment. We're not playing with a lot of fluidity. But look, we get a 1-0 win tonight, and Andy, I guess it sets us up lovely for securing that Europa League spot anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, can't beat that Europa League spot.
A trophy we haven't won since 2001, so it'd be great to get our hands back on it next season.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it actually, because I'm getting the flag done up and it has the Europa League trophy on it, so it could be very current when I get my flag.
Brilliant. So look, we'll start with you, Andy. Anyway, we'll get a little bit more serious. We'll get onto the lineup. So obviously, against Fulham, we'll discard the Leipzig game in a way, but obviously the Fulham game, a lot of changes, a lot of a big shuffle. Didn't have the desired effect. Kind of went back to what I guess you could say was kind of the strongest available based on fitness and form at the moment. What was your view when you seen the team come out?
Yeah, I'm just happy now that we have that option there to pick a couple of centre backs instead of shoehorn and midfielders in there and getting Fabinho back into midfield. These are the main things, and now Jota fit playing in the front three and making a big difference. So it's good. It's a shame actually that we're going to have to wait a few weeks before the next game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think 3 weeks now. Just a strange kind of sequence of scheduling. Yeah,
but maybe it'll do us good by the time we're back. No, but look, it's being able to select that team now. It's I won't say exciting, but it's certainly something you're going a bit more confident into a game. You're gonna enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah. And Jamie, centre backs, we're now seem to be in the situation where we're picking two centre backs, which is a huge thing. Obviously, in the last league game, it's two centre backs. In this league game, different two centre backs, but it's still two centre backs nonetheless. And that allows obviously Fabinho to play in midfield. Are you happy with that approach now for the rest of the season? Do you think this? I wouldn't call it an experiment, but this kind of persistence with playing Fabinho at the back, do you think, Jamie, you're happy with us going with natural centre-backs for the rest of the season?
Yeah, 100%, mate. I think the general rule should be play centre-backs at centre-back and centre midfielders and centre midfielders, and we won't go too far wrong. I think I was probably chief cheerleader, I think, of Fabinho at the start of the season playing centre-back just because of the natural attributes he had. But at that point, we weren't losing Fabinho and Henderson out of centre midfield. To lose them both is nigh on criminal. So I think now what you're starting to see, and Gar will be able to tell you this from a coaching perspective, is connections forming with some players. It's not just just playing centre-backs at centre-backs at centre-back. It's playing them in consecutive games, and they're getting used to a rhythm. You know, one will be the dominant centre-back, one will know when to drop off. I think, you know, special mention for Kabak. Well, they were both very good tonight, to be fair, but I thought Kabak in particular, I thought was outstanding. I was a little bit unsure when he first come in. I think I'd commented on maybe his body position was a little bit off sometimes, but Andy made a point before we came on air, and I think he's dead right. I think you forget that he's 20 years of age and he's moving to a new league, a particularly physical league, demanding league, and you're playing against teams that are hunting the champions and raise their game. But I have to say, particularly in Europe against Leipzig, I thought he'd been very good, and it's great to see him really kick on tonight, front-footed, aggressive, and confident in all that he did.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, Jamie, it's better you making some assumptions about the business that we do in the summer. I mean, you could see Kabak really growing alongside Van Dijk next season, couldn't you, potentially?
Yeah, look, it's just going to be nice to have options. Nobody knows what maybe Joe Gomez is going to come back like. It'll take a bit of time. It's a serious injury. Obviously, Van Dijk, when he's fit, will be back into the side. But again, you need to give him a little bit of time. I think it's nice to have options. I think the big thing with Kabak is it's all there for him. If he wants the contract and he wants to solidify his place in this squad and push for a first team place, it's a smart bit of business because the carrot is constantly there for him, you know. So if he continues on this vein of form, I would see no reason why the club wouldn't want to bring him in. You know, and the fact that he's been able to acclimatise to the new league, settle in, and then when you bring the better players, I mean, you play anyone alongside Virgil van Dijk, you're going to go up 2-3 levels. So imagine what he could be like with someone like Van Dijk alongside him.
Yeah, and the transfer fee isn't extortionate, especially for a player of that age. So there's you know, I think we've been speaking in the WhatsApp group about whether we should pull the trigger in the summer, and I think there's a strong argument building to say yes, we should. So that's certainly one to watch still over the coming weeks and months. So, Gar, further forward on the pitch, then obviously the three midfielders, he goes with Wijnaldum and THIAGO in advance of Fabinho. Were you happy with that combination? Obviously, Kate is making a bit of a stake at the moment for coming in and getting a start. But were you happy with them three?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm happy with the three. I thought throughout the game, I thought they were sloppy, very, very sloppy at times. Pressed well at times. Really covered right and left very, very well a lot of the time, and you probably got undersighted a lot throughout the game. How well they did help out either side. You could see the double up on a throw at times is really good at times. But listen, when he got his space, you know he's going to run out of the ground and down the road to the local chipper anyway. But but seriously, no, their position was really good throughout the game. I know they were sloppy in their passing at times, but for me it was nailed on that three were going to start anyway, right?
Yeah.
And Jamie just touched on something there. I suppose the familiarity of them three now, having a couple of games together with Fabinho back in that position. The two players behind them, you talk about connection, Shay. The two players behind them now getting used to Fabinho in that middle, that he's always going to be open to take a pass on, to turn out with a ball. He's always going to have his body open. Kabak seemed to be the more ball-playing defender of the two tonight. For me, he was really, really good. He worried me in the first few games that he was so rash. But listen, he is settling in. But the midfield three was, listen, I know Keita's made a few, you could say cameos, but it was always going to be them three who's there for me.
Yeah,
there was one thing I heard the other day, Gar, actually, sorry, Ray, just quickly on the connections thing, and it was actually Phillips was talking about the assurance of having Fabinho in there, and he said basically, you know, a centre midfielder, whoever gets the ball on the opposition, and Phillips is looking at it thinking, oh God, it's going to get fired into his feet. I'm going to have to worry. I'm going to have to go and engage, and he's already panicking about that ball coming into a striker's feet. He said, but when Fabinho's there, his big long legs just managed to sweep in, block the ball. So now what Phillips and Kabak are able to do is, look, I don't need to worry about the ball into feet. I just need to get my body position right. So it's the second ball, or it's the ball over the top. So like the impact that Fabinho has, not only defensively, but then allowing us to press higher and getting us on the front foot and pressing more aggressively is honestly worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, but THIAGO was back to his old tricks again in the first half. Yeah, the yellow card, the astonishment on his face every time he got done for a foul. 3 fouls, eventually totting up to a yellow card. And amazingly, I don't know. I know most of his substitutions now seem to be off the back of a yellow card. I mean, it's getting frustrating that we do have to hook him after 65 minutes, more often than we probably like to, isn't it, Gar? I mean, it seems to happen, still happening even now.
Yeah, we always talk about that Scholes thing, don't we? About him not being able to tackle. Believe me, and Jay knows it well from playing in that position. He was well able to tackle. He just did it in the right areas and fouled people at the right times. And listen, he is a bit rash. The only thing I'd be worried about is how he's getting around the pitch at the moment. He looks like a Leinster Senior League player coming around the pitch at the moment, trying to recover a pre-season. He's unbelievable. He's like a lad who's had 10 points trying to recover at any time they lose the ball. It's unbelievable watching him. But listen, you know he's capable of, boys. When this team gets flown, he'll more than that. You have to just put him out of your mind for the moment and allow him to settle, because at the moment you've got cogs all over the place, and allow him a bit to settle. And if this team was flown, you see the best of him without a doubt. Yeah,
and maybe if we do get to the latter stages of the Champions League, where he'll really sort of come into his own, and his experience will come in more than handy. Front end of the pitch then, Andy, looks like Bobby's being completely binned. I don't know if he can get out of that treacle factory at the moment, because he's not even making it onto the bench. I don't know what the story is. I've not really been looking into it too much, but anyway, his replacement, Jota, I mean, he is a breath of fresh air, isn't he? I mean, he doesn't seem to be quite at the same heights, obviously, as when he left the side through injury, but it's just nice. And I think Klopp obviously feels better that he can stick with the same kind of formation, but just have a much better option up there at the focal point. Yeah,
he's coming into a different situation totally now. Like, he came into a winning team at the start, and now he's coming into a team that's so up and down. Firmino's still injured, but I don't think even if he's fit, he's getting near the team at the moment. When Jota came in at the start, it gave Firmino the kick up the arse he needed. His performance did kind of improve, but he's been on that downward curve again for a few months. And like you say, it's such a breath of fresh air to have Jota in there. He's so different. He's direct, and he scored tonight, and he was busy tonight. And I think it's gonna push the other two on beside him, that who we know aren't in the best of form either.
Yeah, I mean, the game gets underway. There's a talking point straight away. I actually missed the first few minutes, and I came into them talking about the incident right at the start, and only got to see it at half time when it was being analysed. I mean, what was your view of it, Andy? I mean, we talk a lot about, questionable decisions and VAR, but do you think that's a penalty? And do you think even if the referee doesn't see it, it's one that should be given over the VAR?
No, it's one of those that there's absolutely no way to be over and analysing that if that was a decision that could have went for us at half time. I don't get it. Carragher was saying that he reckoned it was a clear pen. I don't think it was a clear pen at all. Alisson's going for the ball and he clatters into the player, but I think he's going that direction anyway. And goalkeepers are clumsy. Like for you're going to talk about a goalkeeper knocking off a defender, and when you see what Pickford did to Van Dijk, and there was less talk about it. So no penalty for me at all, not on any stretch of imagination.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been an absolutely catastrophic start to the game. Any opposite view to what Andy's saying? No pen, or I mean, there's people in Red Steve saying it was a pen, all capital letters.
I've seen him given. I'll be honest. Ever since, and I don't mean to go on about it every single podcast, but the Danny Welbeck one, I can't get that penalty out of my head. When penalties are given for any type of contact in the box, I think you're asking a question. I wouldn't have been I wouldn't have been shocked if that penalty had been given, put it that way, given some of the others that we're seeing this season. But look, if we're talking normal football terms, what I think is a penalty or not, absolutely not. But then again, I don't think 70, 80% of the penalties that are given this season are actual legitimate penalties. But when you seen it, you winced and you thought, oh God, what's coming here? That usually tells its own story.
Yeah,
in the slow-mo, right,
you
can clearly see, Andy, his motion is taking him that way. Like, he's no way of sidestepping left, or he's no way. His motion, he's come off his line to go for a ball. His motion's has taken it that way. So anyone with a bit of cop on says, right, that's not a penalty. You know, he's going that way.
Yeah, but how many refs have we had that don't and had it have been given? Yeah. And had it have been given, I'm not sure VAR would have overturned it either.
No,
I think they probably would have.
They wouldn't have overturned it. The correct decision was made on that moment. Look, Alisson made a mistake how he went for the ball, and I think goalkeepers get that allowance to be a little bit clumsy. You know, if he had took the ball off the player who was about to tap it in, then that clumsiness is going to deserve a penalty. But it wasn't like that at all. It was just a coming together. It was a nothing incident. Only Sky talked about it. I don't think we'd be talking about it.
Yeah.
Andy, if it was the reverse, would you be calling for it?
Yeah, but like being a football fan allows you complete hypocrisy and bias. Like so I'm never going to judge one decision against us or for us the same way. That's never going to happen. Not in my lifetime anyway. Never has, never will.
Yeah, I mean, there was Barry Devaney is saying Pawson was awful tonight. I didn't necessarily think he was awful. I just thought some of his decision making was very hesitant, and it kind of, I don't know, it just disrupted the game and the flow at times. He was, you know, he seemed to be overthinking some of the decisions, some of the fouls, 50-50 fouls. You know, even the players were kind of guessing really which way he was going to call it. It seems like a strange refereeing performance. I'll put it that way without saying it was awful. But then again, every refereeing performance seems to be strange these days. So we get on to I guess the biggest chance for us prior to the goal was Mane one-on-one with the goalkeeper. It was a huge chance, and you're just screaming for him to bury it. He obviously tries to kind of take a touch and take it round the goalie. Now, a lot of shouts saying that he actually gets it. There's a touch there off the keeper. He could have gone down. We've seen Sadio stay upright on a number of occasions recently. Some mad conspiracies then I've seen about he stayed up because he didn't want Mo Salah to get a penalty.
Really quick thinking. Yeah.
I mean, look, away from the conspiracy theories, I mean, it was a bad miss. It was a bad miss, wasn't it, Jamie? He should be scoring in that situation.
100%, mate. And it was good that they had Thierry Henry in the studio, because I thought his analysis on his decision making was bang on. He took it with his wrong foot. You've got to anticipate that the keeper's coming out there, and you want to take it with your right onto your left, so you're basically just rolling it back in with your left. But he kind of took his first touch with his left, which meant then he'd overextended, and it was all on the same side. And it just screams to me like a player that isn't in form. He's not playing with confidence. He's not playing on instinct. A fit and firing Sadio Mane can go either way or dink the keeper, but you can just see he's probably thinking a little bit too much, and he just gets his feet position wrong. There was one thing that chance brought about, and I've seen a stat and I can't get my head around it. They put it up on the screen. 2 goals from 70 shots, 3% conversion rate for Liverpool. You know, for all the narratives they're getting spun around Liverpool and their defensive issues, their midfield issues, and look, there's merit to all of them. If you don't have strikers that don't take the chances, it immeasurably changes the direction of a football match, because as the game goes on and you're not taking chances, the other team build up a head of steam and can punish you. You know, for all the kind of over analysis that's been done, we've suffered from our strikers ultimately not being able to finish in big moments. And it kind of felt like it was going to go that way as well until obviously Jota found the net. We were huffing and puffing, creating good opportunities, I would say, but just not being able to capitalize.
This is one of the things about stats and reality. What we're seeing, like, you would have never expected that would you? I mean, I don't feel like we've been banging goals down. Like, I don't feel like maybe we're taking some extreme and a hell of a lot of very, very weak attempts on goal. But it's not like we're getting clear cut chances every game. We're very, very limited. Well, particularly going back a month or so before that, we were literally having 0 chances per game. So I don't really know where all these shots have come from. It was brought up last week on the pod when I said it doesn't feel like we've chances, and I was told we've more shots on target this season or something than last season, but it fucking doesn't feel like that. Whatever chances we've been getting haven't been easy, we just haven't been creating chances. That's the problem. I think the root of the problem has been from the midfield up. It's been sold as a defense problem all season, but it's just what we're missing in midfield. That's lacked that ability to create things. We definitely haven't been creating chances.
Yeah, Jay Cahill says, remember the season we kept hitting the woodwork. I mean, we haven't really been doing that either, have we? I can't imagine we've hit the woodwork too many times in amongst those 70 shots, to be honest with you. I can't think of any of those types of near misses. But we do get the goal. I mean, another sort of stat that was thrown out there when we scored the goal is that, that was the earliest goal that we've scored in the league since the Spurs game. We've just. I mean, it completely explains why we've dropped so many points over the last few weeks. To not be scoring early goal, and not even early goals, not scoring goals in the first 40 minutes of games. It's crazy, really. But we do get the goal. I mean, it's nice, it's nice that it's a combination of, Mane, Salah, Jota puts it away. It's nice that it comes from a move like that. In reality, the keeper, should do better. It's Adam. He palms it kind of in a different direction, but into the goal ultimately. But it kind of just as it was kind of predictable that THIAGO was going to pick up a yellow card, it was almost sort of predictable that Jota was going to score tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think it was the first time in weeks we've seen proper link up from back to front, and really quick as well. 1-2 touch stuff, making midfielders move, making defenders think a bit. And it was the first time we'd taken risk, that I'd seen in a real forward pass and move. Tend to be all safe stuff in the last few games. And as Andy's touched on, we've pounced around. We haven't really had shots in a lot of games. There's been games, shot ratio has been so low. You're wondering what's going on here. But have to say that the goal is a really, really nice goal. It's something we're not used to seeing a lot lately. But it's the front three back the way we like to see them, and I'm sure the way Klopp likes to see them, in moving a ball quick and rotating people really fast. The extra touch that Mane gets on it as well, takes a defender out again, because if he leaves it goes behind Jota because he's already making that forward run. So really nice move, something that we haven't seen a lot, as we've said, and put us on the front foot, thank God, just before halftime.
It's a perfect time to score a goal as well, isn't it? I mean, Andy, in those 5 minutes leading up to the into half time, actually Wolves were building a bit of a head of steam. I mean, they've suffered obviously with Jimenez being out for a long period of time, and they've never really adjusted or adapted this season. And you could kind of make a case for them, being as kind of in a similar way, just as disappointing as us. And a lot of it is down to their lack of goal threat. But Wolves were starting to build up a head of steam there, weren't they?
Yeah, I think it was a very open game. Like, Wolves are a brave team. They're not afraid to come out. The way teams have fucked us over all season is just sitting back in that five. But they come out and they almost just play with three at the back and five midfield. But they're not one bit compact when they haven't got the ball. They don't mind taking the game to you. So they were very brave. So it's always going to be an open game against Liverpool. Plenty of spaces in between midfield and our back four. But no, look, it's a great time to score. I really like the goal. We've been taking too many touches on the ball lately as well, but But Jota takes the shot on first time, and I don't blame the keeper too much. When the player takes the shot on, the whole idea of hitting the ball first time is not to give a keeper the chance to set his feet, and it's very difficult to get down so quickly onto your right side. Even though it wasn't his near post, it's still a really good finish, loads of power, and a hit it first time, did the right thing. It's a good goal. I don't blame keeper, and it came from a good move. Liverpool were okay in patches. I think we deserved to be at 2 or 3 goals up at half time, despite Wolves having that brave kind of.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think anyone looked like at any point that they were going to pull away in that game. It was always going to be tight. Even as we move into the second half, Jamie, we were starting to get into that territory of needing to grind out the win, weren't we? I mean, we've been lacking that this season. We seem to have been either very good or very abject, really, over the last few months. There's been no kind of in between, but tonight really was that kind of that tight. Like, let's get serious now. If we are going to haul ourselves back into this top 4 race, and there's still a gap to bridge between Chelsea, and even more to try and bridge between the likes of Leicester and Man United. But if we are gonna, and it was mentioned in commentary, if we are gonna be that team that pulls together, strings together that sequence of 7, 8 wins, whatever it is that's going to be required. This is the 9 games left now. I think at this stage, 9 league games left. If we are going to win 7 or 8 of them and maybe get ourselves in, we're going to have to include some of these types of wins, aren't we?
I think sometimes, right, you can get more from these type of results. It's all well. Sometimes you're at it and you score loads of goals and it's great. But sometimes grinding out a result can do something to a squad, to a team, to galvanise them. And I think that, it makes quite a nice change to be sitting there going, Liverpool played okay, good in patches, but they were solid, and I think that's the key point now, is we seem to be getting a bit of a foundation for us to go on and get these results. And I think you're dead right, Ray. If we're going to try and drag ourselves back into a top 4 race, we're not going to be at it every single week. And the teams that are going to get into those top 4 places, or like ourselves, have to make up a little bit of ground, are going to have to find the balance between, playing well, getting your wins when you can, but also getting those wins where you're not quite at the races. And I felt today, I think defensively, was a positive. I don't think Robbo was at his best. I think there was my main area of concern, I think, today was probably the midfield. I felt like there was too many gaps. Like we touched on him before, but I think there is a question around THIAGO, and I absolutely adore THIAGO as a technical footballer. I think he's brilliant, but when there's a lot of space in and around him, he looks like he's running in treacle, like Gar said. So we were unable to get a foothold on the game. But that said, it kind of reminded me of Liverpool of last season. We play through blocks, so it could be playing in 10-minute blocks where you're not quite at it and you find a way to get through it, and then you start. I think it was around 20-25 minutes we started to build up a little bit of momentum, and then ultimately we got the goal. This seems like there's a little bit more calmness about this Liverpool team now, and hopefully it's giving us good signals for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the substitutions, obviously, they come around, I think it's about 65 minutes. I think Klopp, aside from the yellow card, I think Klopp realises we needed to re-energise that middle of the park and maybe just change it slightly. Keita comes on. I guess there's an argument, Gar, isn't there, in some ways, just expanding on what Jamie's saying, like if we see, the next team that comes out, albeit in 3 weeks' time, against Arsenal, I think it is next. If he plays, I'm sure there'd be a lot of chatter on Twitter and whatnot. But if he went with a midfield of, say, for example, Keita, Wijnaldum, and Fabinho, you could kind of see a reason why, couldn't you? You wouldn't be 100% sold on THIAGO at the moment.
Yeah, I think energy-wise, you could see after after 50 minutes, you could see it was coming out. He was heading forward a lot to try and join the front three, a hell of a lot. I think at one stage I saw him pressing their left foot. It was a left foot at the time, and he actually gives a foul away at the time. He didn't get booked for it. I'm going to start saying to myself, why is he that high up the field? He doesn't need to be. That's Salah should be chasing that play. He doesn't need to be. So, as Jamie had said, he gets caught out of position a lot. And especially with Wolves playing two wing backs, technically, there was going to be a lot of space for them. They're three in the middle to exploit at times, and especially if they're doubling up with full backs bombing on as well. You've got the worry that there's protection there for Trent, who I have to say tonight, boys, was absolutely ridiculous defensively. He was quality tonight.
Up against a good player as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's been flying for them, Jamie. So there is an argument, definitely 100% to add Keita in there. If he gets through next few weeks unscathed, let's be honest. But then again, lads, knowing Klopp, he could bloody throw Milner in. Just for that energy stuff. You just can't tell it. He could do that. Which is not, you're not beyond him.
We got an interesting 3 games coming up, Andy. Like, we've got Arsenal. I was just checking there. We got Arsenal coming up. Then we've got Aston Villa, and then we've got Leeds. I mean, they're all dangerous opponents in their own way. Inconsistent as well. All 3 of those teams. So you don't necessarily know what opposition is going to turn up on the day. But the thing now is we could go and get 9 points. We could go and get 1 point from those 3 games, couldn't we? We're going to have to be on it over this next 3 weeks. We're going to have to really re-energize, galvanize ourselves, and really look to kick on for those 3 league games.
Yeah, that's right. Look, they're tricky games, but look, we're just at the stage now. We probably need to win 7, 8 out of our last 9 games. So there could be no excuses anymore. There's a good chance now for them to kick on. The confidence that Europe would have brought them and getting the bit of settlement back in the back 4. I'm looking forward to it. I just wish it was the next game was a bit sooner. But look, it could be a blessing as well. They are 3 difficult games. I think we'll know at the end of those whether we have any chance of finishing top 4 or not. I don't see why we're not still in the race for it. The teams above us are just as inconsistent. It feels like we haven't done fucking anything since November.
Yeah.
Haven't scored a first half goal and whatever so long. So how are we still only 4 or 5 points behind Chelsea? It's incredible. I know
and they beat us as well. I mean, if we beat them at Anfield, then we're a point ahead of them.
Yeah. So it's mad. We're still well in it. Look, there's a lot of positives. There's Europe as well, isn't there? Like, this, you get a bit of head of steam going and a bit of confidence in that team, and they won't be far off becoming themselves again. You could be looking at the end of the season, finishing top 4 and winning the Champions League. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie, one of the key players, I think, over this next stretch, obviously the Champions League as well, it's going to be Mohamed Salah. We talk about him an awful lot. We've spoken about maybe Mane lacking in confidence. I don't think necessarily Salah's lacking in confidence in that way, but like the incident, obviously, where Patricio gets injured, it's a really unfortunate sequence. The flag doesn't go up immediately, so Salah, and typically Salah buries it when it is offside, and then he has a chance a bit later on, not as clear cut, but he completely fluffs it basically when he is onside, sort of thing. But we're gonna need Mohamed Salah, aren't we, to really find sort of peak form in this last sort of over the course of these last sort of 9 league games and on this Champions League run.
Yeah, I think he's one of those players though I never really worry about with Mo, because he'll always deliver. I think if you look at his back catalogue now, he's proven time and time again that you can always rely on him. And look, let's be honest, sometimes he has these type of games where he can't finish. He'll just have one of those days and then he'll come back the following week and get a brace. So I think with Mo, I'd be more worried if he wasn't getting opportunities. I always think that with strikers. I think that was, I suppose, some of the worries that we've had, against some of the low block teams. That's still the big challenge for me, is at home against teams that come and park the bus. What can we do? Because sometimes we've lacked ideas. We haven't had players that are running in behind. We're not looking to stretch teams. And I think, Ray, Salah will actually benefit from Jota being in the team now, because what Jota offers is variety. So he will look to run in behind and stretch a centre-back. If that is the darting run, what does that do? It creates space for Salah to drift inside and pick up bits. So I really like the dynamic between the three of them, particularly for the goal first time, sharp, incisive play. I never worry about Salah. As I said, he always finds a way to rise to the big occasion. And you can see, I don't think he lets missed chances weigh on him too heavy. I think he always backs himself, and he seems to be getting himself into positions to score, which is going to bode well. We're going to need him over the next few weeks.
Yeah, we definitely are. I mean, it's great to have Jota. I mean, I've seen some comments. I mean, I was joking about Bobby earlier on, but I've seen some comments that he is being sort of, he's being given a prolonged rest. He's obviously got the 3 weeks now on top of being taken out of the
he deserved one, mate. He's been running on empty, the poor fella, for the best part of 3 years, to be fair.
He has and it'll be interesting what type of Bobby returns, in terms of his hunger, his desire, his energy. I mean, Gard, do you see Bobby still being an integral and a key part of us achieving some of these remaining goals for the rest of the season?
It depends how he is mentally. If he's up for a challenge, I think we saw it last time when Jota had been playing. He certainly came back and looked up to a challenge for a little while, but then his level just dropped again. I have to say, lads, after Mane's miss tonight, I thought he was absolutely sensational. His work rate, his connection amongst the front three. Him and Salah passing the ball together. That's mad, isn't it?
They always give each other a little bit extra to do on their passes, though. Do you ever notice? A little 50 euro on top of the ball to pay the doctor.
There was a comeback at one point where, I think it was it the first? Yeah, it was the first half. Mane gets to the byline, cuts it back for Mo, and you kind of thinking to yourself, does he really want him to just poke that in the bottom corner?
Lads, he's starting something here. Come on, let others do that on the weekends. But now, seriously, I thought he was excellent tonight. After he missed that chance, you certainly saw the front three up to what they usually do. Listen, we could have had a lot more goals tonight. The Mane header goals was a big one as well. A great move and an unbelievable run, by the way. The cross was brilliant for it. So listen, a bit of luck. It is down to luck, lads, and things will turn for us. We've talked about the missed chances, but we had a lot of chances tonight to go well ahead in that game. Yeah, they had a couple of chances. Alisson had a couple of bogeys. He punches one when he could have caught it. But listen, that's a confidence thing. Yeah. You can see there's little confidence issues around. But listen, we've gone through such a fucking crisis, lads. And to be getting wins, and as Jamie touched on, a win like this can add to your mindset tenfold.
Yeah, and the next game's not even at Anfield, which is an even bigger bonus, isn't it? I mean,
let's not go back there.
Yeah. I mean, look, if I'd be all for us playing all the games at Kirby from now on. I mean, Real Madrid have done it, haven't they? This season, have been playing games at their kind of. I think it's their training ground. Looks a bit mad at times because they're redeveloping the Bernabeu.
Who's doing that? Oh, right.
Oh, Real Madrid. I mean, I don't know if they're still doing it at this stage because I haven't watched any of the games lately. But certainly in the early part of the season, they were playing in this mad-looking ground. And I'd be all for us playing.
The crowd noises would be even more strange if they did that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know it would, but I guess it'd be something a little bit different. But the next game's obviously away. I mean, I guess the big acid test in some ways will be when we get back to Anfield and we play Aston Villa and we're carrying that kind of millstone round our neck of the consecutive losses and whatnot. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But just in terms of the bigger picture, then, Andy, given where we are now, then in terms of the league, obviously, let's just concentrate on the league for now because we'll touch on the Champions League before we finish up, and obviously we've got the draw coming up on Friday, which is a nice position to be in and something to look forward to after we've done all our money at Cheltenham this week. So top four, yeah. I mean, realistically, right now, you know, let's obviously we assume we know Man City's done and dusted. We know the league's won. Do you like? What's your assessment on our chances of making a fist of this? Considering that once we get past these next 3 tricky games, we've got some easier games after that. Do you think? I mean, put it this way: if you're Chelsea or if you're Leicester, do you really want Liverpool to be one of the teams who are hunting you down? I mean, you're probably happy that West Ham and Everton are one of the teams hunting you down, but do you really want Liverpool there on your coattails?
No. Just hope it's not. They haven't left it too late. I mean, if you had asked me this a couple of weeks ago, you're kind of looking at the team and you're wondering where the next wins is coming from. So you need us to go on a run, and then you need other teams to fall. So we are seeing evidence that we can probably, go on a win. I think the next 3 games probably suit our style of play. Like Arsenal are going to want to play football against us. Villa will, Leeds will, certainly. So that they're the type of games that will give our team a chance to try and exploit the spaces. And I think if Keita is fit, there are kind of games that will suit him. Because he is good at pressing, and with Fabinho in there. So look, we'll definitely know after them 3 games whether we have a chance. Leicester notoriously fall off a cliff towards the end of the season. And then you have Chelsea. Now, I maybe I've missed something, but somebody says Chelsea are starting to show a wobble. I think they've been a lot better since Tuchel's come in. So that's the difficult one. Are they going to keep going? It seems to be able to win when they need to win. So we're really going to be fighting for that very last place. So it's survival of the fittest towards the end. Just if we could win our last 9 games. We definitely do it, but it's just game by game at this stage now. We'll know for sure. I'm the supreme top red, so I'm never going to say anything otherwise. Even when it's mathematically impossible, I'll probably still believe there's some way we can do it. But look, I know you said we'll talk about it later. The concentration has to be on the Champions League this year, exactly like it was for Man City last year when the focus completely changed. But we've got that knack in Europe that they don't have. So that's where I think our egg should lie. But look, we're not out of it, so they have to keep fighting.
Yeah, I mean, whilst it's still very achievable, Jamie, like we have to keep scrapping for it, don't we? I mean, the difference between finishing 4th and 5th is going to be massive next season for us, isn't it?
Yeah, like I honestly think I'm an optimistic Liverpool fan at the best of times, but I think when you look at all things considered, I don't really rate the teams around us. I think that's one. I think if you look at some of the fixtures, I think Chelsea have got a tough run in. I think Leicester have got a tough run in. Yeah, I actually think Tuchel's done a good job at Chelsea. I think they look very solid. I don't think many teams are going to put them to the sword, but given their fixtures, I do think they'll drop points. I think with Liverpool, the 2 big things for the run-in is Fabinho, given the stability and obviously the centre-back, but also Jota. Like him coming back couldn't have been at a better time. He's fresh, he's eager, he wants to make an impact, he gives us something different. I think it will get the best out of Mane and Salah. So to be going into these games now with genuine options, which it feels like that we have got now for the first time. I think there's genuine, like you said before, Ray, genuine options in the middle. I think Naby's going to play an impact, or at least you'd hope he will, given his limited game time. He's got the talent too. So I just think it's about time that some of the players stepped up. We need them. We need to find a way to get into top 4. But as I said, I think if we can just keep our heads down, keep getting a couple more of those horrible wins. The Champions League, if we can go deeper into that, that's going to give the whole club a lift. And with a bit of luck, we'll find a way of getting in. I'm not one of these fans that's all doom and gloom, thinking if we don't get top 4, it immeasurably changes what we do in the summer. Or, I think Klopp nailed it perfectly in the press a couple of weeks ago. He said, if you don't want to join us because we're not in the Champions League, I don't want you. And if you want to leave because we're not in the Champions League, I don't want you. And that's the end of the conversation. Everybody that plays for Klopp wants to play for Klopp on the project. I don't think any players are going to be at risk of leaving. And I think we're still going to be able to sign the players that we ultimately want, because anybody with half a brain knows that this isn't Liverpool. When we get our players back, everything is completely different. You're bringing the best centre-back in the world back into the side. You got the best defensive midfielder, and you got some of the best attackers in the world. And full-backs that, to be honest, have been running on empty. Give them a full pre-season and a bit of time off. We will be right back at it. So we're still going to be a very appealing destination for players with or without Champions League football.
Yeah, and we just don't go for that type of player anyway, Jamie. Sure, we don't. Years ago you would have had to like make all the attractive things, but Klopp on his own, can attract that because one season, one blip isn't going to make a difference in what people believe can do. But he doesn't go for the players who just need the immediate thing. You have to be able to run, you have to be able to work hard, and you have to have that commitment. So if there was ever a time we shouldn't be worried about being out of the Champions League, it's now.
Yeah, the body of work's there, isn't it, for Klopp and for everyone else connected with making these signings to point to in terms of attracting the right caliber of player and the player who's got a desire in it. In some ways, probably depends on the psyche of the player, but in some ways, when you join a club like, say, THIAGO has, when we're at the peak of our powers and we've just won a Champions League and a league, well, what else can you actually do? There's only kind of one way in a sense of the word, and THIAGO's almost a bit of a victim of that. I think this season, I know things haven't gone right for him on a personal level with COVID and the injury, but still, like he's come into a team, he's a perennial winner, and we're suddenly not winning, and he's actually one of the early the finger pointing goes kind of in his direction very easily. So I think I think you've got a good point there around us still attracting the targets that we want to bring in and pointing to this season as being a blip. I mean, some comments in here. I mean, Mohammed George saying Gav would be extremely happy to see Tommy Tuchel bottle it and was to snatch that fourth place. I guess other people would be just as happy to see Brendan bottle it again and for us to snatch the fourth place from them. But I mean, realistically, it's either 5 points, bridging 5 points to Chelsea or bridging 10 points to Leicester. What do you see as the more realistic? If we are to secure it, which one would you see as being the more realistic?
I just think Chelsea now are just they look more tactically astute, Jamie, don't they? They look more on it. They're not naive anymore. They know when to reset. You've just looked at him whipping a player off because he's not coming back only after bringing him on for 25 minutes. So he's really tactically astute. He's shown it in games. They're not naive anymore. So I think Chelsea, I think it's Leicester the one who come out, lads. And if we get over that, and I know Andy has spoken about the Arsenal game, that's the one, Klopp is, Arteta is happy to sit back against us. We've seen it in the games he's played against us, and he's happy to try and unleash Aubameyang down that, down Trent's side. I think Leicester are the ones that fall out, lads. And if we overcome the Arsenal and United game, we've got something on.
Yeah, I mean, like it does. I wouldn't imagine the bookies fancy us to break into this top four from this position, but I guess we shouldn't throw in the towel just yet. Given that there's still 9 games, so I think some teams probably got a little bit more than 9 games, but there's still 9 games to go. Still plenty of points to play for. So look, we'll sort of finish up there on
in its current state. The Champions League isn't that attraction at the moment. I think players aren't going to be too bothered about having to travel all over Europe anyway. As long as we don't get into the Europa League, then it should.
It's the money men, though, isn't it? It's the money men, and you're right. It's not. I think the one thing winning tonight and probably winning plenty enough games between now and the end of the season is that I don't think we are gonna drop out of Europe altogether. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be. I think we are going to be stuck in this kind of purgatory of the Europa League. But having said that, I mean, like, I don't know. I know we probably won't take it very seriously, but it's, to me, if you're in it, then you should try and win it, sort of thing. I mean, I know we're looking a bit far ahead, but and I can hear Phil now screaming and shouting and throwing things at the screen, or throwing his iPhone to the ground tomorrow when he's doing his run. But look, I mean, it's another trophy potentially next season, and starts to rebuild some momentum.
Yeah, I know. The point is, I just think it's overstated these days about how important the Champions League is for players coming in. It was always the thing said for years: players want to play in the Champions League. Players want to play in the It's not going to be an issue at Liverpool to be back in the Champions League. It just in the current format, it's not as attractive as it was. And look, out of everyone we signed, how many players are in that current squad that's won us a league and that's won us a Champions League wouldn't have signed for Liverpool, coming off the back of winning the league only a season before that, and coming off the back of a Champions League a few seasons ago. So it's not like Liverpool have disappeared. It's not like Klopp has gone. Like there's not going to be the impact that people believe there is. There will be.
I mean, just getting us into the Champions League conversation. I mean, Avo's saying the 2005 team wasn't as good as this patched up team, and we, obviously we go on and win a Champions League, and obviously that was a mad one. But who's to say that these things can't happen again? And obviously, Istanbul is there. It's tantalizing that it's in Istanbul, and the reason why it's in Istanbul is obviously everything that's gone before it, because it was deferred by a year. I mean, Jamie, Champions League draw on Friday. I am sticking to a prediction that we miraculously pull Porto out the hat yet again, to many people's disgust. I know obviously the hat is only half full at the moment. Have you got any early thoughts around the draw?
Look, no, to be honest, don't get me wrong. I'd like Porto. That would be a handy one. Is everything all right there, Gar? There's no way.
Yeah, no. Look, I'm being abducted by aliens.
Is that what it? Yeah, the lights are shining down on you there. But either that, or you're about to go on stars in their eyes. Just need some. No, Champions League, mate. No, if I'm being honest. Look, you're gonna have to play. You're gonna have to play all the good teams at some point anyway. Look, if we could get a couple of handy ones, even better. There's no reason why this Liverpool team can't go deep in the Champions League. What I would say is, I think we'll miss the power of Anfield more than ever when you get into the latter stages, because when you come up against these elite teams, especially missing a couple of massive players, you need that extra 5-10% from the crowd. You've seen the impact that it's had on those famous runs over the years. The Chelsea games spring to mind. It plays such a big factor. There's such fine margins when you come up against these elite teams that it might be one step too far as we get into the up against the top dogs. But look, as somebody said in the comments, we had a worse team in 2005 and we managed to do it. So who's saying we can't again? But look, if we could get Porto, I think that's who everybody wants. And then hopefully, you never know, we might get Henderson back. I think they're talking now that he might be back if we can get into the latter stages. And what a boost to have the captain back for those games.
Yeah, big time. He's back training, I think I heard. So, yeah, Chris Brack saying we've drawn Porto the 3 times, actually, 2001, 2019 and 2018, and reaching the final. So it would be a good omen. Aside,
can we draw English teams in this round?
Yeah, it's a free draw. Yeah, it's a free draw.
Yeah.
So obviously City will be an option. I mean, I'm glad you bring that up, Jamie, because my next question to Gar was going to be if we draw Manchester City in the next round, Gar, what would be your confidence levels?
Not great, mate.
No.
I'm still laughing at you going to Area 51 there. Yeah, no. Listen, over 2 legs in a knockout, listen, we've seen listen, this is more a mentality thing for Guardiola, to be honest with you, because look, this technically is where he tends to fail with the clubs he's been at around this area. So listen, Klopp could do one. It's a different competition. It's not the league. They tend to start putting their feet up, lads. They'll have it wrapped up possibly by then anyway. So listen, who knows? 2 legs, or just think the power of Anfield, as Jay said, the crowd behind you. You know, it's always worked for us. 2 legs, a couple of players back. Who knows? Listen, I know I said no, but listen, if Henderson's come back into the fold, to me it makes us a better side than what we have been. Let's be honest here. 2 legs, get inside Pep's head. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously another team that we knows through already, Andy, is Dortmund. What would your view be if we drew Dortmund on Friday? Would you fancy our chances?
Don't know. Don't watch Dortmund too much, right? To be honest with you. Look, it's at that stage. At that stage of the Champions League, it doesn't really fucking matter who you play. I think I'm with you. I wanted to be Porto, but no.
I'd take them, Andy. Do you know that? I'd take them.
Klopp, let's not forget as well, lads. Klopp has some record in European football. I think it's only Atletico that have done him, isn't he? And to be honest, that was a strange one, because I think that was probably one of our better performances of the season until Adrian threw the ball into the net. So, you know, his record over, you know, his tenure has been fantastic. So there's some tasty draws, don't get me wrong. And look, people will say, oh, they fancy playing Liverpool. Nobody fancies playing Liverpool. Don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, Real Madrid potentially is another one. You know, I think we'd fancy our chances against Real Madrid.
I'll take that all day, right?
Yeah, you'd take that one all day. Yeah,
a
glamour tie, and obviously a decent chance of progressing. Bayern Munich would obviously be formidable. They've got a score to settle with us, a bit like Manchester City have probably got a score to settle with us in the Champions League.
They won't want to come near us, right? They won't want to come near us, right?
No.
Bayern won't want to come near us. Even the former end, they won't want to come near us because they know the front three we have. They know there's a lot of excellence in that side. They won't want us in the next round.
Lewandowski doesn't want to come up against the Bolton Baresi as well at this stage.
You never know. We might have Ben Davies firing all cylinders by then.
I actually seen him in a training video playing the other day. So he actually exists. And he's fit now. He still didn't make the bench.
He wasn't playing against your nephew, was he, Jamie?
I think he was by some of the videos we've seen.
Because he's certainly got AWOL from the first team at this stage, so he does exist. Yeah, I mean, Phil Corkin, Brian Davis at this stage.
I was having a chat with somebody the other day who's quite in within Arsenal, and Arsenal was scouting him extensively, supposedly, and his stats are meant to be very, very high. So his pace, his distribution, all of the attributes that you would want for a centre back are meant to be really high. So you can probably, I can see why he's probably come to the top of the list of Michael Edwards' famous laptop. But Dave Leonard, Ben Davies in Area 51. That would explain it. But look, again, I think there's a lot of football romantic in me. There's a lot of stories and a lot of narratives that could rear their head, towards the end of this season. Ben Davies being one of them. Virgil van Dijk potentially coming back for a European Cup final. Can you imagine that? Jumping up for the header and scoring as the winner. There's loads of things to look forward to with this.
Ben Davies looks like that. Ben Davies looked like he went off to Jumanji for a while. He's the image of him now.
What is it about people and just not after this happening like several times so far, Klopp not putting a player straight into the setup? Why is it that people still question this over and over and over again? And like the usual shite starts. What's he got against him? And it doesn't have to be anything. Like
Klopp called it out on the Robbo example. He said it himself.
The other day, Jamie, did he?
Yeah. He said people forget how long it was before Andy Robertson broke into the side. Ben has a future here and all this. He spoke very well of him. It's strange that he didn't make the bench though.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is, like, if he's gonna get a chance, you would expect him to see some minutes this season. Like, otherwise, really, you're into next season. Obviously, Virgil comes back. Gomez maybe does the signings. Like, you're literally only going to see him then in Carabao Cup matches, aren't you? And maybe if we are on the Europa League trail sort of thing, you might see him in some of the group games against some of the substandard sort of opposition. Ben Davis looks like Gar before he had a shave. Yeah, there's a bit of a similarity there. Like,
we've gone full Ben Davis with the hair. Look, this lockdown shit is killing me, lads.
Yeah, I know. It is criminal, isn't it, that we can't get a haircut? It really is.
I don't get that point, Jonathan. Maybe expand on what you're trying to say there. We two centre backs playing tonight and they done a good job. What's the urgency on rushing?
If he's just not ready, I'm sure. Like, if they were desperate, I'm sure they'd push that forward. I mean, look, let's face it, Kabak wouldn't have got into the team 2 weeks after arriving at Anfield. We wouldn't have seen him for months because, like, he's a young kid in a new country, and that's what's happened to so many players. How long did it take Fabinho to come into the team? People were doubting that. They took Ox a long time to come into the team, Robbo a long time.
Andy, I think the emergence of Phillips as well has
that's the big one.
We'll also put that on the back burner, but he's absolutely been excellent. And you know what? Champions League final, ball comes down, drops on the ground for the tap in. He gets down. He's that fucker that gets down and headies it in, isn't he?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. It's a long time since we've had a cold hero.
Brilliant.
And it's good, and he's very worthy of it. He has got himself a hole when you think about him probably being 7th choice or something ridiculous like that. He always seemed to be on the exit. He put out on loan the last 2 seasons and probably looking for buyers for quite a long time as well. So for a fella to come in and take his chances, that's the real romance, isn't it? In football, that's where your faith is kind of restored and things like that. That it is possible for people to make it with just purely playing for the shirt, and that's what I want. I want players playing for Liverpool who are that committed.
Do you know what I like, Andy, about the two centre backs as well? They don't suffer from Lovren-itis. Lovren used to think he was a different type of centre back to what he was. Phillips and Kabak, they do the job. They defend. If it's there to be headed, they head it. If they win the ball back, they give it to players that are better on the ball to go play. I just think between the two of them, we've give ourselves a bit of a chance. And another thing I noticed, Klopp's demeanour seems to have changed the last couple of weeks. He seems, with everything that he's gone through, both on and off the pitch, he's not quite been himself, and understandably so. He's got a little bit of a swagger back. He's smiling again. He's laughing and joking. That's going to really help us now, as we come down the home stretch.
Yeah, and that's going to only help. He's everything Klopp. Everything that Klopp says and does, and it transcends into the team. It all begins with Klopp's leadership, and that's where it breaks down. He's a human being. He's the most human being in the league, probably. He's so upfront. He wears his heart in his sleeve. So that's the problem. Sometimes your biggest strengths are your biggest weaknesses. So human beings suffer from human problems, and look, it's why we all love Klopp.
Yeah, he's not a robot, and he's displayed that over the last few months. I mean, I think Klopp definitely for me is kind of hit a certain reset button in some respects over the last couple of weeks, and I think he's kind of come to terms with the position that we now find ourselves in, and he's kind of regalvanizing the squad and the players that he knows he's now got available, and he needs to depend on, and he needs to press the buttons of whoever he's got left to get us through the rest of the season, and potentially maybe go all the way in this Champions League. Who knows? I think Klopp, I think especially with this whole uncertainty and obviously he didn't move away from the whole connection with the fans, because the fans came back into the ground in December, and I think, you know, obviously that was taken away from him. Again. Andy says he's the most human being in the league, as opposed to the other animals running around. So there's something to be said for that. I mean, you know
what I mean, Mohammed. You know what I mean.
Yeah. It's another Andy classic, I think. At this stage, but yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, Klopp sets the tone, and I think he's, you know, so it was starting to become a bit counterproductive, wasn't it, recently? And I think that's disappeared now. Andy is a coach. Oh, Andy.
So yeah, in some ways,
yeah. He is very fond of the unions, but that probably just stops there, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, look at I shop at the Socialist Oil in Avoca.
Oh, a very classy outfit for those not from Ireland. Avoca is somewhere that you definitely want to be. What would
be is most of our viewers are in the UK? What would be the UK equivalent to Avoca?
I don't know. There was this kind of, I can't even remember the name of it. It was a kind of a really groovy, kind of all healthy, organic-y type of place that existed in London, which I went to on a few occasions. It was all hip and, you know, kind of bohemian. And there was definitely some, you know, proper classy sorts floating around there. So that place, if I could remember it, then I'd definitely recommend that as somewhere to go and overspend. There
must have been an Avoca in Formby, no?
No, Waitrose. I mean, Waitrose is classy enough. You know, if you've got I mean, to be fair, like Formby residents objected heavily on a McDonald's appearing. They lost that argument. Ultimately. So it does have much higher standards, Formby, than other parts of Merseyside. So look, Whole Foods, that is bang on, Peter Blake. Whole Foods, that is the one. Absolutely delighted you threw that in the comments, because I remember going around. I think there's one in Kensington, if I'm not mistaken, and another one in Camden, proper hip parts of London. I got a great pleasure from spending a whole heap of cash in there on a few occasions.
Jamie was definitely in Greg's.
100%.
Did he have a nice cheese counter in Whole Foods?
No, not that I can remember.
I like a nice cheese counter.
Peter's. I mean, I've not noticed Peter in the comments, but he's bang on when it comes to these. You know, when it comes to his shops and the supermarkets, he's pointing out the fact that there is a Waitrose in Formby. So I'll be keeping an eye out for Peter in the comments from now on.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else we want to cover? We're an hour and 10 minutes in. Anything else we want to cover? Gar, I'll come to you. Have you got anything else? Any other words of wisdom before we wrap up for the evening?
No, I think tonight's win is a huge step, as me and Jay said earlier. It pushes on a bit. I know the break is a bit of a pain, but listen, it's a break. We go and play the Gunners, who can be very, very inconsistent at times. You don't know what you're going to get with them at times. So I'm going to be top red tonight. I think we go and we go on a good run from here.
Yeah, and Super Tiger is reading my mind. Man of the match for you, Gar.
I'm gonna go with Trent. I think he was. I was really, really impressed with him defensively tonight. I thought he was excellent.
It was. I thought it was a tough call, really. You know, I think there was decent performances, a lot of sort of maybe 7s and 8s. I don't think anyone really shone that brightly. For you, Jamie, man of the match tonight?
Kabak for me. I thought he was pretty much faultless. As I said, he did the simple things well, and he snuffed out danger. I think there was a chance in the second half they broke late, and his position and recovery run was very good. And for a young lad of his age, as I said, he's 20 years old, to come in and start putting a consecutive run of good form together, it's really going to stand us in good stead for the remainder of the season. So if we can keep that that relationship building between him and Phillips, with Fabinho sweeping in front, it's given us a platform to go on and hopefully change our fortune. So yeah, Kabak for me.
Yeah, it's good shout. I mean, I thought, I was thinking you're not seeing much of Kabak here, and that's always a good sign if he's just doing things efficiently and effectively and getting on with stuff without causing any alarm. I think that's only a good thing, and Phillips next to him again, pretty faultless. Andy, any would you differ from any of those shouts? Would you give it, if you had to give it as a tie across three people, who would be the other person you would give a shout out to?
Like Phillips, Kabak, and Trent. Yeah, look, I think it has to go to Kabak. It was probably his best performance so far, and I said it about Phillips last week when against Leipzig. I love seeing these players prove certain fans wrong. We're very, very quick to get on a player's back. Phillips, for whatever reason, people just didn't like the look of him. Just couldn't get over the optics. But he's barely put a foot wrong for Liverpool since he's come in. But like that Kabak, 20 years of age, into a new league, thrown straight into the team, and people are on his case. It's so weird. Like 3 years that Naby Keita's at this club, and there's people like with this, false belief. Have a bit of belief in players that haven't, at least haven't been given a chance yet, or have given everything so far. So yeah, Kabak for me. I just love when players do that. Just shut people up. The more players we can.
It's not his first man of the match performance, is it, Kabak? This is the encouraging thing. Like he's been now. Look, there's been where he's looked very shaky and a bit Lovren-esque, I suppose. There's been plenty of those types of shouts, but on the whole, I think he's proven to be, albeit the lastminute.com buy that he was on the last day of January. He's definitely been a solid addition to this point. So there was one other comment that I just wanted to pick up on, which was there was an ask in here, and it was from Paul O'Malley, I think it was. And Jamie, it's probably directed at you because you do the midweek fix these days. The midweek fix would come on Wednesday, which would be Paddy's Day. And the question was, is there going to be a show on Paddy's Day?
There is. We've got a show lined up, but haven't seen that comment come in. I might chat to the gaffer Gav and see if we do something special for Paddy's Day. We'll all come dressed up as green leprechauns. What do you reckon? We come in fancy dress and have a bit of crack. No, as it stands, there is a midweek fix. It's going to be around stats. We've got Josh Williams is who writes for the Echo is coming in, and we've got Christy Holly coming in as well. That's it, Andy.
Yeah, this is the Independent request and headline in the last couple of hours. We're urged not to meet up and have cans with friends on Paddy's Day. That is
no
the
cans.
Government's direction for you.
No cans, bottles instead.
Which isn't a problem to Jamie. He's a regular on the bottles of Heineken.
Yeah.
So
I know. Yeah, where is my bottle of Heineken? Actually, we'll have to get Gav back on the cans for Paddy's Day.
Did you see what was happening there? Actually, let me try this again.
Go on.
Look at the flashing.
Oh, the flash. Yeah, look.
Yeah.
Is that your phone watching you?
Facebook's watching you, mate. Yeah.
Have we just unearthed something?
That's crazy, isn't it?
Come on, there has to be some merit in this.
I know, and the aliens are about to take me away as well. That's the,
X-Files for you, Ray.
None of us are even doing that.
I was going to say, it was that loud. I thought you were actually getting taken away for a second there.
Oh dear God! So midweek fix. I mean, what's going to be interesting now is like Gav is now going to have to schedule 3 weeks of programming here with no games to discuss whatsoever, which is going to be rather bizarre. Yeah, look at that flashing light.
Oh yes.
Right, we're gonna have to all test this out at some point. So look, we'll wrap it up on that bombshell. So thanks to everyone tonight. Thanks to Andy, X-Files Young.
Well, there you go. I gave you some philosophical comments and unearthed something magic there.
Yeah, and you and you know, I know stars in their eyes was mentioned, but there's a bit of Matthew Kelly about Andy tonight. You know? And thanks, Jamie.
I've been called a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. So you're back Wednesday, yeah?
Back Wednesday, mate. Yeah.
Nice one, good stuff. And Gar, we will no doubt speak soon.
See you soon, Pat. Thanks very much.
Nice one. That was the Day Trippers. It was the forum. It was the post-match review of Liverpool, 3 points against Wolves. And look, we start getting on a bit of a roll, but unfortunately, we're going to have to press the pause for nearly 3 weeks. We'll be back with more tomorrow, no doubt. Gav will be back with you, or Keith, one of those. Over and out.
No, I was just reading a comment there.
Oh,
I'll put us out now. Night, everyone.